Character swapping can just be a head swap or a head swap and outfit swap. You can even make the character swaps into just outfit swaps. So if you change the head back to the original character, it is then an outfit swap. But you do then have to get rid of any edits you made just for the head. I'll explain this in a minute, but at the moment, DA3 is the base game, Black Emporium is the Black Emporium, Blue is Trespasser, Red is Descent, DLC 1 is Jaws of Hakon, and then the item packs and multiplayer DLC. Now, having said that, these do include DLC content. For example, the Ava outfits are listed under Chastened. Now, when you load a mesh for the first time, it will take some time. Now, this does depend on your PC specs as well. But once loaded, all other meshes will load quickly, unless you start a new Frosty Editor page. So once this is loaded, it should show. So this is one of the ones we see standard in game. And then if you go to the light, you start seeing DLC. This is because these are the ones actually listed in the DLC. Okay. So now we know where some mesh are, including the mesh sets, which is here. This is when you want to edit the NPCT file. This is when you want to edit a mesh set file. So if you wanted to change Blackwall's outfit, his mesh set is that, the unequipped. He does not have any mesh set files for any of his other outfits when he's fighting. It is likely because of this and the skinned mesh assets for the heads, which is why we can't change them for the character swap mods, because we can't edit bundles yet. By this I mean the bundles that you find in these. As you can see, that doesn't have anything we can edit. So we want this and these. Because of the Ser Barris, the Blackwall, we want the Templar Outfit. The Templar Outfit is one mesh, so we remove these. And to find the Templars, we go under All A, Factions, All A, Appearances, and then down. It is the Heavy Templar Armour. And that is the female armour, and then the mesh for the male armour. With that selected here, we go to this arrow here, click it, and it replaces it. Now, bundles. This is where this comes in. Not all bundles work in every area of the game, and not all of them work for every swap, which I found out when making these two mods before the tutorial, so I knew where everything was. I made Ser Barris to Cullen, I made Samson to Cullen. Samson's Cullen has no issues when it's just the head in the Romance Lake scene, but as soon as you give him an outfit, it doesn't work there. So Barris to Cullen works in every scene Cullen is, except obviously the scenes where he's fighting, because we haven't been able to edit them yet. Now, for where they work, I can tell you now, Halam Sharal DLC Trespasser does not like references to its own bundles. This would be, for example, if I find an outfit, something referenced in the Winter Palace. You cannot use them bundles for these areas. This is why I've already put Halam Sharal under each of these. Basically, do not reference itself. Our Wilds is another one that doesn't really like getting referenced in its own bundles. Except in other bundles seem to love the Arbor Wilds. So if you can find a reference to the Arbor Wilds, that is generally the one to go for. And Redcliffe Castle is another one that has sometimes issues with its own, so I can put Redcliffe Castle here. But it works everywhere else. It sometimes has issues with Halam areas, but again, for one character it might work. For that bundle, another character, it might not. So swapping Samson to Blackwall, it might work in Halam for Blackwall, but not for Cullen swap. And Adamant Fortress, that's another one that has some tricky things. There is some swaps that won't work for one area no matter what. And there's some that only work in one area. You can release these mods, but do make sure people know that it doesn't work in the other areas. Bundles and locations that don't work anywhere. The Western Approach, it doesn't work in itself and it doesn't work in any other bundles. And that's including the Storm Coast and the Winter Palace Halam Shral. DLC or not. So let's put /DLC blue. Because it does not like references to that either. At least the DLC blue Halam Shral, I should actually make that a bit more obvious. And I put head morph bundles and outfit bundles and mesh set bundles. So if we was going to do a swap from the reference to mesh sets, we would go to NPCs, global followers, because we're doing Blackwall. Now, not everyone follows the same path, but as most characters follow this. So under 11, you'll find data, mesh sets, and appearance customizations where the head morph is. So for this, we're going to be putting him in a Templar outfit first. So you can change his formal outfit and see if it works in Halam Shral as well. Or we can just do it so it just edits the main outfit and not the formal. Another thing when making these bundles that do and don't work, save it as separate files. So bundles that do and don't work for Cullen, bundles that do and don't work for Blackwall, etc, etc. Because like I said, we can have one bundle that works in the Cullen swap mods but doesn't work for the Blackwall swap mods. So now we've swapped that already. So you can do this or do this to swap. Both work. However, when it comes to mesh sets like this, if you was to edit, say that mesh set, it would edit for every human male that's wearing the formal Inquisition outfit at Halam Shral. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but not necessarily something you want to do. So we'll leave these for now because we're not editing the head morph just yet. However, we need to go back to the unequipped. Bundles. Mesh set. So this is what the mesh set bundles reference. Sorry if my voice sounds a bit off, I've got a bit of a cold. Unbold them. Okay, so Redcliffe Castle. Frostback Mountains. Main base, there's more than one of these, so we can get rid of the other ones. Because we don't need to add these to them. Western Approach. Adamant Fortress. Valrayo. Main and Blackwall Prison. And then the Winter Palace. Now normally, if you was going to do the swap to here, so do the Templar mesh sets swap here by pressing that when you're hovering over the mesh set here. So like this. That's going to always completely change to Blackwall unequipped because we've got it there. Then you would use these as they are. However, because we're editing a file in the mesh set, we're changing these to description references, not mesh variation references. So that would get changed to that. That would get changed to that. That to that. that to that, etc, etc. So what does this mean? These are the file description files that we need to add extra bundles to and extra super bundles. Outfit bundles. That is where we need to keep these as they are. So we go back to the model, find the mesh that we used. Yep. As you can see, there is actually 2 versions. One with the helmet and one without. We want the with. So when it says body, it generally means without a helmet or hat. When it says unit, it can mean that it's got a hat or a helmet. So we need these bundles now. These, keep them as they are and do not delete any, unless you see ones that you know are going to be an issue. However, if you haven't worked with bundles before, you might not know which ones are going to be an issue, which ones aren't. And like I said, you might find that one works for one and not the other. However, here I can already see the one we're going to use for the outfit. When it says IBP bundle, these are the best ones to use. 90% of the time, these ones work. So now we want to add that to these lower bundles, lower description bundles. So we go up here, click on here, type descript, and it'll hide all the ones that haven't got them files. Now we've got the layouts. Redcliffe Castle, Ferelden, Redcliffe Castle, Redcliffe Castle, Redcliffe Castle, Redcliffe Castle. So we've got the bundles and super bundles. Do not edit any of these. Right click on the last one and set it, press insert after. There we can add our new reference. Here, if it does not reference all these creature files or sometimes party members plot, _plot, you do need that as well. If you find that it's crashing, you can always edit these ones out and see if it stops. But I can tell you now that the Templars are referenced in the creature files. I don't know which one it is, but it is referenced in one of them. So this one is edited. Because this is IBP bundle, we do not need to reference a description bundle in here. So now we want Frostback Mountains, Frostback Mountains. Super bundles again. Right click again. Paste again. As we can see here, it hasn't got it, so do not right click on this side, it'll only give you copy and paste. Right click on the opposite side. Insert before. Add creatures, insert after. Try and not get any spelling mistakes. It might not crash it, but it might not make the outfit work. Super bundles work in a specific order. Main base, main base. Okay, let's actually save. Okay. Templar, Blackwall. Insert after, paste. That's got all the creatures and it's got party members plot already, so we don't need to add anything to that one. We need now Adamant Fortress, which is the western approach. Now this is the one where we can get issues in game. Creatures, yep, they're all referenced. Val Royaux, Blackwall Prison, because obviously in his main quest he goes there, or ends up there rather. So it's this one we need to add creatures, and 2 more after that. Creature 01. Do not press tab, it does not put you anywhere else, so you have to physically click there. Go next to that and press insert after, or that and insert before. Party members plot. Ooh, not plus plot. Plot. Okay, Val are your main. Before, after. Ooh, as you can see there, I did it accidentally before again. Okay. So you can press these X's. Sometimes you might accidentally delete another one, so sometimes it's advised to push this as close as possible so you can see which one you actually are minusing. If you've got a big screen like me, it definitely doesn't help in this case. Okay, so now it's just DLC blue, Winter Palace. This is because Blackwall does not wear the formal outfit. In fact, I think it's only the advisors that wear the formal outfit in Trespasser. Okay, so we've now got the Templar Blackwall ready to test. So, Adamant Fortress. It's one of the areas that get tricky, and it's the area that I had problems with the full swap for Samson to Blackwall. This is the Ser Barris one, so the Templar outfit should work. This is one of the cutscenes that reference Cullen's head mesh, so skinned mesh assets for his clothing and his head. So when you do a Cullen swap, it will not actually swap this scene out. Only the scene that comes afterwards once you've defeated the enemies at the gate. So we can skip that. Okay, it's loading, so it means that the Templar outfit does actually work here. And if you wonder why I did that so quickly, for testing mods, it's advisable to have a weapon that actually works to get rid of enemies pretty quickly. So this bit with Cullen, when you do a Cullen swap, this works majority of the time. Like I said, some areas don't work for certain characters, or certain character swaps. Like the lake scene, I've got it working for Ser Barris, but it doesn't work for Samson. It only works for Samson when he's got no change to the outfit. So, actually I better save here if I can. Then I've got a quick area to test. If I need to test character swap Cullen, then I'd load the one beforehand to test that cutscene. So, I believe that's the one where I can test where Blackwall is. And once you've tested all areas that are tricky, which are the ones I pointed out, and I'll point out again in a second, I will actually include in the description. So you look in the description, there will be missions that are usually tricky, which you definitely need to test. And then there are missions that areas that need testing as well. Not so for example, the Frostback Mountains, Haven. If it's working in Haven, it doesn't necessarily mean when you load a save actually in the Frostbacks that it's going to work. Like with the Cullen one, the main place to test where it might crash is following the soldiers instead of going up the mountain when you're going first to try and close the breach right at the beginning of the game. If it works there, no crashing, then you're fine. Oh, an example. So once cinematic tool is loaded, we can take a screenshot. Okay, a screenshot of Blackwall for the mod. So the areas that I said that you need to test are what pride and wrought, the Arbor Wilds, the Wrath of Heaven, in your heart shall burn, frostbacks. And that's in the beginning of the game, which I'm sure is the Wrath of Heaven, where you need to go the route of Cullen instead of the mountains, because it has more chance of crashing after Cullen, or before the Cullen bit, than it has in the mountains. I have no idea why, but it does. Wicked Eyes and Wicked Hearts, DOC Blue, Trespasser, Halam Shiral, so the Winter Palace, Redcliffe Castle, In Hush Whispers. That is because the swaps do work in the scenes where they're in the cells. Here Lies the Abyss, Adamant Fortress. It's the one we just tested and it doesn't work for everyone, but I wanted to show where it did work. Now, cinematic tools. If I was to press launch now, while this is still open, it might run. More of a chance of it not running. So close that every time. So now we have a working Templar Blackwall mod. Now, we want to edit it to Ser Barris, so we need to change the head morph in both, which means we also need to edit another description. So we go to the Dales and Halam Shiral, which is Ham Winter Palace. Open, insert. Now, if we wanted to do it as an outfit swap as well, we would change that to reference the same. We would change that to reference the same here. For this one, it would be the Blackwall unequipped. But we don't want to do that for now. So we're only editing the head morph, so that means that bit does not need to have the same here. But these need to be edited to include the others, just in case they get referenced. And there's a high chance our mods will reference one of these free. Oh, for five super bundles. So now we want to close these, go to here, highlight, get rid, press enter. Now we want the head morph, which is in the design content. Head morphs. Now, here's in Grand Cathedral. Just want to explain something beforehand. We see Knight Captain Denham here, and we see him here as well. However, characters like Denham, they don't reference many areas, or they just reference one. And in his case, two. There's a chance that this would work just in Skyhold. Just in Skyhold, because other areas don't really like references to Inquisitor Base 2, main base, blah blah blah. Or with this, the Valseeker Fortress. Ones that I've tested, they don't like references to that. Or the Western Approach. Like I said, it's the ones that don't work anywhere. So sadly, Knight Captain Ryland falls under the head morphs that don't work because we can't do bundle editing yet. And there's no guarantee that even with bundle editing that we can get them ones to work. Back to Ser Barris. he has one of those ones that actually do like to work everywhere. The Arbor Wilds. So I can even tell you now, you don't even have to put that here. Just take that. Because if it didn't work in any of the areas, I'm telling you now, that those areas wouldn't work. It would be one of the ones like with my Samson mod where you'd have to say, please unload the mod in this area and reload after you've done this area. That is because it's all Valrio, and for some reason those don't like getting referenced, so I can even add Valrio. I usually remember how to spell Valrio. Okay, so that's one of them difficult ones. It might work for some, it's not worked for any I've done. Again, that would only have a possibility of working in Skyhold. So now we want to add that to the areas. Now, that's the reference to the mesh variation. We need to add a reference to that variation file's description. So when you get a line like this, so it'll be after creatures or after a user interface if it's on there. But for this, it's after this one. So take that bit, which actually is the reference to the location, and then that is the reference to the description for that location. That's the one we need. So we can add these two to our head morph bundles. Because they're the two we need to copy for each bundle. So for here, we need to add an extra bundle. It's best if you actually go along and do, you can do it your own way, but this is usually the way I do it. And then I add the description bundle afterwards. I don't know if it actually saves time. It feels like it saves time. And then we just got to make sure that we've actually edited all the areas. So one of the troublesome areas, other than these, is actually one I've not added to the... For the life of me, I can't remember the name of the quest, but it is... Blackwall's plot quest. Valrio. Prison. This is not one that has issues with some meshes, so it does actually need added into that list. So we do know that this bundle works in those scenes. Yeah, that's another difficult area, the Skyhold. When I was trying to work out swaps, I'd got Haven and loads of other locations working, but I didn't get Skyhold working. And then Kitten Tails worked it out, and that helped me work it out. And since then I've been making them, so I'm hoping I'm helping someone else by this, making this tutorial. Okay, so we've added it in. Yep. So here it's under creatures that you want to add in that. And if you get an area that doesn't work, say Redcliffe Castle or something, take it out of there and try it under here, under the next reference. So here, it doesn't have it under creatures, it has it under UI. Do it under the last reference with the layouts. Do not do it after the DLC blue item. Because that will cause issues. Super bundles, like things being in a certain order. You probably can add it after creatures because of ones have it referenced after creatures. But it's best to edit it after the ones that are already there. Okay, we've got all them. We now save this as Ser Barris Templar as Blackwall. Just the main outfit. However, we also need to do a double check. Because now it's a head swap, it's editing both these files once we add it in. Redcliffe Castle, check. Main base, check. Frostback Mountains, check. Adamant Fortress, check. Farewell Main and Prison, check. Winter Palace, check. Isn't it? Yeah. Yep. And then that one should just be referencing, yeah, Winter Palace. So now we want to add the head morph. Should have done this actually before, but it, honestly, either way works. So Grand Cathedral, highlight Ser Barris, go to this little arrow here, assign from selected asset. And again in the formal one, assign from selected asset. Save. So when loading the game, you can load the cinematic tools to help you get screenshots for your mod. It's advised, once you get an area that works, to add the bundle. You don't have to add the description bundle, so it would just be this. So if we can get it working in the Arbor Wilds, we would do that. But actually our bundle doesn't reference the Arbor Wilds. I just know it works. That one in the Arbor Wilds is because I made it for the Cullen mod as well. So for the case of this Blackwall mod, we wouldn't need that one. So you could even save these files per mod instead of per character. It might actually be easier to reference. So if you type it as bundles that do and don't work for Ser Barris as Blackwall, and then type in Templar Outfit, blah, 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 blah. So for the case of this, I'm going to keep it somewhat minimized if possible. Yep. So we want to test the frostbacks. And by frostbacks, I mean that mission I was talking about, which I'm pretty sure is the Wrath of Heaven. I can actually check that in a second. Journal. Yep, the Wrath of Heaven. That was the right one. So we're going there. Charge with the soldiers. Take the mountain path, like I said. For some reason, even with Cullen swaps, Blackwall swaps, you don't get crashes there. But you do get them here with charge with the soldiers. So, if all goes well, it should load in a second. Okay, so by that, I'd go here and put it as 1Y. That's because we still need to test In Your Heart Shall Burn and Haven itself. So, In Your Heart Shall Burn. Yep, so we can put yes, yes, that area loaded. Does the basic Frostback Mountains load? And if we get all 3 yeses, that's when we can add that this bundle works for this certain swap. Yes. So now we can add that bundle as one that works. And do this for all areas that you've edited. So Wicked Eyes and Wicked Hearts. And, well, I've got a DSL Blue one there. Might as well load that. Oh, I hate colds. Okay, it's loaded. But if you forget to edit a bundle in, it will load. Or it won't load. But if it loads, it won't have any mesh. It'll be invisible, basically. So it has worked here. So we can add it in because that's the only area it references, that one. And I'll just show you an example of when the mesh goes invisible. Oh, yeah. Here when I edited the mesh set, or what mesh set it referenced for the formal outfit for the Samson as Cullen. Okay, so singing it like that. Oh, I've not got a new save for that Winter Palace. To find my old one. Yeah, that's all DLC. That's the problem when you put out your old saves, so you got more room for new saves. I've got them backed up. But, okay. Generally, if the DLC works, it works in Wicked Eyes and Wicked Hearts. Generally, not always. Okay, so Redcliffe Castle. If that loads, it's working. Yep. So we can add that into Redcliffe Castle in Hushed Whispers. Okay, now to test Adamant Fortress. Okay, yep, that works. Okay, for the Samson as Blackwall, we're doing a brand new setup. As you can see, when you've already had it open, it does keep the side things that you've had open already. For Samson, his references are here, and I can tell you now the only two that are a possibility of working are these two. So we put these here. And because they are bundles, we do not need to reference anything for description. And because we're only editing the NPC files, you don't need them open, and the references to them, which was them. And the Winter Palaces. So we go to data again, go to here, setup, ready, and that one as well, because we're doing it now the opposite way around. We're doing the head swap first, just to show it, because sometimes the head swap works and the outfit doesn't. And in the case when I first made this earlier when testing, they both didn't work in Adamant Fortress, but that wasn't starting off as the base, so I'm going to do it as a base setup first. So, Nemesis, Samson, assign, and assign. Find all the descriptions again by doing that. Layouts. Redcliffe Castle. Set it up. We're only doing the head swap, so we only need one of them. It's got that reference, but it hasn't got party member. Plot referenced. Now for the Cullen. Samson as Cullen. This one worked for every bundle. But when I did it for this one, Samson as Blackwall, it was more this one that was working. So yeah, it's a bit of playing with it really, just to see which ones work and which ones don't. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily work in every area. Okay, so we've got Redcliffe Castle open. We need the Frostback Mountains. Add an extra bundle. That needs before and after that adding. Now, when you've done this, there is another option. You can, once edited, go to here, press export. It helps. Let's say if you're swapping the same character to a different character, so Samson to Blackwall instead of Samson to Cullen, you can use them. But like I said, they don't always the same bundles work, so you might still have to edit the bundles, but these lot will be saved. If you find it don't work, then do it from scratch. And then if it doesn't work, it is just the bundle, because usually the method of exporting and re-importing the description Win32 files does actually work. But just remember to edit obviously these out. When I save them, I usually have that blank. So we can export it to a mod. Title would be Samson as Blackwall head, only because it's only a head swap. Blackwall head swap, because it's only a head swap. Version 1.0. Don't have to add an icon, but you can. They have to be 128 by 128, no bigger. Mod description, this mod swaps Blackwall's head for Samson's. And then save it. And then you've got your first head swap mod. Now, this is where you can, because if you do it from scratch, you're going to edit these files like exactly like they are now. So, hide your layouts. So when we get that off, it doesn't show that big list again. Right, so now we want an outfit. Now for the Cullen version of the Samson swap, I had this outfit here. So you can either use his unequipped file, like we did earlier, or go on here, mesh set, go to here and click on this. And now instead of the unequipped Blackwall, it references that mesh set for this model here. That isn't what it looked like in game, it looks different in game. The colours anyway. I actually think those colours might have suited him better, but they actually do look pretty good on him, the one that does choose. So I can tell you now that the only ones that might work from the mesh set are the multiplayer one. So let's replace that So the mesh set is the multiplayer one and them 2 single player bundles. The others won't work. Now if we did the mesh, we would also have the chance of this, but because it's the Redcliffe Tavern, it doesn't actually work. But you'd also have the chance of other bundles, like the DLC Archer tier. No, the design content, that's the same one. It doesn't actually have any extras you can use, but like I said, Frostback Mountains is one that works for Frostback. So if you was going to add the Frostback one, doesn't always work for each area in the Frostback, so if you're going to do this way, you would just do that. You wouldn't have to add that because that's the description file that references that mesh variation file. But for this, we're going to do that, and because that doesn't need a description file, we don't need to add anything down here. So we go to each one, save as Ferelden Samson as Blackwall, and that's only because of the outfit, I'm naming it like that. Right, so we've got that one added in there. Like I said, sometimes the multiplayer one works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's the best one to reference in some bundles, because if you noticed, we actually had to use the multiplayer bundle for Adamant Fortress for the head. So Adamant Fortress, where are we? Redcliffe. I'm sure there we are. So that one actually might load when it's got that tier. So let's launch. So in the end, I did get these Samson as Blackwall working with the Ferelden outfit. I had to use a different combo for different bundles. So for the Valvoyor main, it was multiplayer head and the single player creature apostate mage. Same for the Blackwall prison. The head was in Adamant Fortress, the multiplayer head, but the single player body was the Smuggler's Archer. And obviously for here, we've only got the head referenced in Halamshirel because we didn't edit the dress set. And for Skyhold, we had to use the multiplayer head and the Smuggler's Archer as well. And then Frostback Mountains, the single player head and the creature apostate mage. And then for Redcliffe Castle, the apostate mage and the multiplayer head. And then it was working in all the scenes. So sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's different combos you can try. Sometimes you can only attempt the bundles because the actual other references don't work. Let's see. Global followers. I'll show you what I mean. I know I probably already mentioned this when looking at the bundles. That I said these two are likely the only ones that would work. Maybe this one, but I found out that didn't work whatsoever. Because the Storm Coast, the Dales, Highlands don't like working in other areas. They don't even like referencing themselves. The Inquisitor base only likes referencing itself, doesn't like being referenced anywhere else. And that goes for the Frostback Mountains as well. And now we're going to attempt a race swap, not just character swap, a race swap. So for example, my Varric to Cullen, because Varric is a dwarf male, DM for short in the files, and Cullen is a human male, HM short in the files. You need to change the HM Master Skeleton to the Dwarf DM Master Skeleton. But you also have to do extra edits because there's extra references, because I did everything, like I just said, without editing the extra reference because I had to find that myself. And this was the result. It stretches the body up and stretches the face, trying to combine a skeleton with a human male reference, so it doesn't work. And once you do the other edit, it works. So we're going to find a character that can work, because I already looked at Scout's Harding because someone did request Scout's Harding. And where are we? She is in Skyhold. There we are, Harding. Ferelden Wilderness doesn't work. Frostbite Mountains, there's a possibility that can work, but not every bundle works. The finale bundle doesn't tend to work in Haven. We probably could get working just in Skyhold from that one, possibly. But again, not every single bundle works. You have to test. And thematic levels generally don't work. And the Dales do not work. Western Approach doesn't work. And the DLC doesn't work. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not going to go through this because this is one of the ones where it would probably take me a few days to see whether it could be possible or not. However, having said that, let's get her NPC file open. So when you're in an NPC file, for example, Blackwall, and you go to number 9, animation data, animatable, actor, this is a reference to a human male. So if we go over here, oh right, so she's only got one override available for DLC. Anyway, back to that, animation data, animatable, actor. This is for dwarf females. So if we wanted to swap Blackwall with Scout Harding, for example, because we've got them open, we would copy this, put it here, and then find in Data Explorer by clicking these 3 dots over the dwarf female master skeleton. Put that here. Okay, let's have a look. Main base. So it doesn't like references to that bundle in itself. So I can already see this one's going to be an issue. So Scout Harding is not possible. So we're going to just look for one that has more of a chance of being possible. Let's actually start from new. Proxies. Fiona. So she actually has a chance of working in a lot of areas because of this and this. So maybe we try Fiona to Josephine. Yeah, let's try that one. So head morph bundles. Okay, come on, it's gonna have to be on one of these. That's the one she was, isn't it? Yeah, Fiona. Found Fiona, yep. Okay, so that's for the mesh, just in case we just reference the mesh. And then that's for the mesh set. Okay. We're going to close them so it's easy to get to that one again. And Josephine's not a follower, so she's under here. So we need these open and this open again. Okay, so the codes, you find them here under the ASIC grid. 6485, this one. Human female. Yeah, well. Elf female is the one we need. I'll just show you. So the divine. 648, yep. Exact same code. And I referenced it to a few before I did it, just to make sure. And it was right. If you go into Elven, Briala, you have this number here. Now just to confirm, we go to another character. Number 9 is usually where it is, but if not, just look through until you can find the one that has the animation data, animatable actor, and the ASIC grid. I hope I'm saying that right. But as you can see, that is the right code. So if we was to look under Elven male, that would be elf male. And etc, etc. But for this one we need the elf female. So when replacing skeletons and stuff, we have to reference to the elf female, so that would go there. And so on and so forth. Descriptions we need to add to. Should have actually done this earlier. So we need to add to the Lamshral external. Into Palace. Actually, if you're going to copy from these bullet points, it's preferable to get rid of the bullet points because it actually adds a bullet point into here. So we need DLC blue for the formal. And because we'll be changing the outfit because we can't reference the mesh set for it, and we would end up changing it for all the human females. Okay, main base, Josie Estate, Seeker Fortress. You can actually use these for the yes, 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 and no, no, no's and stuff, if you prefer that instead of the mission names. Okay, we've got them all. So let's type script again. So I managed to get the swap working by using the Aberwiles main for most of them, and then Redcliffe Castle for the ones that wouldn't work with Aberwiles, for instance the Aberwiles. And now I've loaded the mod with the mod by Dalishious. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The one to make Fiona look like how they imagined she looked in the books. It's actually how I imagined she looked in the books as well. Yep, so it has actually loaded the mod and works with the mod. Okay, as you can see, there are issues when doing character swaps that include race swaps, because as you can see the pen's no longer in her hand. So if we make that okay, so that's because we want to show that it's working with this mod. Oh, we've got it working, and just show you the bundles. See, Arbor Wilds. But when we come to the actual Arbor Wilds, I had tested it originally with the Found Fiona, and it crashed here. But as soon as I changed it to the Redcliffe Alexi's Present Time, it worked. So if you've got several bundles in like Redcliffe, you might find that one works and one doesn't. Okay, so I just want to explain a few more things for the race and character swaps. While everything after editing this file is the same, so once you've added in the new code here and changed the skeleton and then the head morph reference and this. So like I said, if you was going to change that, it would change it for everyone in Hellam Shral. For Josephine, I don't know if she does reference this in any other scene, but for Cullen, so if I wanted to edit the mesh in here for Josephine, I might get away with it without any issues. But for scenes like with Cullen, some scenes reference this file still. So by editing that, it caused Cullen to be wearing Varric's outfit, but because they're both using different skeletons, Varric's outfit was more like spaghetti. It was twisting here, there, everywhere. So that's why I didn't go with that method in the end. I just swapped the mesh set for the mesh set that we wanted. And then you'd go to Arbor Wilds main, go here, add this like normal, add the bundle here. For Arbor Wilds, it was the Alexi's Present Time bundle. Then add the party members plot here because that was the one that was missing. And then the reference to Redcliffe Castle here. And then that would be done. So that is it for this tutorial. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, day, week, month, year. Bye.